Pumpkin spice latte, snowskin mooncake. Try saying that fast 5 times. Pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin spice latte, no. Anyways, hello and welcome to another episode of Anything But Authentic, where I make crazy unique food that is anything but authentic. On today's episode, I'll be making pumpkin spice latte, snowskin mooncake. I know Mid-Autumn Festival season is already over, but I originally intended to film and post this for the Mid-Autumn Festival season, but you know, I couldn't make it, so here we are. And since we're approaching fall and Halloween, I mean, this is sort of like, you know, the type of food that is, you know, a transition from Mid-Autumn Festival to Halloween. So I think this is still appropriate to post after the Mid-Autumn Festival sort of season. If you're a fan of pumpkin spice latte and also mooncake, this recipe is definitely for you. I love it. A lot of my friends loved it. I know you're gonna love it too. Let's get started. First, we're gonna start with making the pumpkin spice latte syrup. In a saucepan, combine 1 cup of water, 1 cinnamon stick, 2 cloves, 1/4 inch of ginger, and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Bring the water to a boil, then turn the heat down to low to medium low and let the spices simmer for around 20 to 25 minutes. After 20 minutes, remove the large spices. So it'll be the cinnamon stick, cloves, and ginger. Then add 1/4 cup of maple syrup, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 3/4 cup of canned pumpkin, and a heavy pinch of salt. Mix the mixture around a little bit, then let it simmer for another 10 minutes. Afterward, add in around half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Give it a little mix, then set it aside. Now we're gonna move on to making the pumpkin spice filling. In a mixing bowl, add in 2 egg yolks and 2 tablespoons of instant coffee granules. Give it a little whisk, then sift in around 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon of all-purpose flour, and 1.5 tablespoons of milk powder. Mix until everything is well combined, then add in 3/4 of a cup of whole milk, 1/4 cup of heavy cream, and around 6 tablespoons of the pumpkin spice latte syrup that we just made. If you like it a bit more pumpkin spicy, feel free to add more, and vice versa. If you like it less sweet and whatnot, and then add maybe like 4 to 5 tablespoons instead. Then mix until everything is well incorporated. You may notice that the instant coffee granules are floating. That is fine. When we heat it up, all of the instant coffee granules will be melted accordingly, so don't worry about it. Speaking of which, now we're gonna heat it up and thicken the mixture. In a saucepan, pour the pumpkin spice latte mixture into it and heat on around medium to medium low. Using a spatula, constantly mix the mixture around until it thickens up. Make sure to really pay attention because the mixture will thicken up very quickly. As soon as you start to see the bottom and as soon as you start to see the liquid thicken up, turn off the heat, then add in 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter and mix it around until everything is well incorporated. Afterward, pour the filling into a bowl and make sure to place a plastic wrap on top. Make sure the plastic wrap touches the filling. Let it cool completely in the fridge for around 1 to 2 hours. The cooler it is, the easier it is to form into a mooncake. Now let's move on to making the snowskin dough. In a heat-proof bowl, combine 1/2 cup of powdered sugar, 3/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon of whole milk, and around 1 3/4 tablespoon of vegetable oil. Mix the solution well until there's no lump, then sift in 1/3 cup of glutinous rice flour, 3.5 tablespoons of rice flour, and 3.5 tablespoons of wheat starch or cornstarch. If you can find wheat starch near you, that would be definitely a lot better, but if you can't, feel free to substitute it with cornstarch. Mix the solution well until there's no lump, then cover it with a plastic wrap and let it rest for around 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, you want to place that heat-proof bowl into a steamer and let it steam for around half an hour. If after half an hour the solution is not set, just put the plastic wrap back on and steam it for another 5 minutes. After half an hour, take the bowl out. If you want to color your dough, this is the best time to do so. Since I'm making pumpkin spice latte snowskin mooncake, I'm just going to color the dough with an orange food dye. To do that, I'm just going to add a couple drops of the red food dye along with a couple drops of yellow food dye. Using a spatula, you want to start to fold the dough in and knead them as much as possible. After the dough is kneaded and smooth, you want to wrap it with a plastic wrap and let it chill for around 1 to 2 hours. Before we sample, let's prepare some cooked glutinous rice flour so you can coat the dough with. In another saucepan, add in around 1/4 cup of glutinous rice flour and cook on around medium-low for around 6 to 7 minutes until it becomes super fragrant and the flour turns into a light brown color. Afterward, set aside before moving on to assembling the mooncake. Now it's time to assemble everything together. Since the mooncake that I'm making is around 50 grams and the ratio for dough to filling is around 1:1, I'm gonna measure out 25 grams of dough and filling for each mooncake. To do so, get out your kitchen scale and put a piece of plastic wrap on top. For the filling, simply weigh out 25 grams of the filling and roll them into a ball and set it aside. For the dough, however, after you measure out 25 grams of the dough, make sure to dip the dough into the cooked glutinous rice flour that we just made so that it doesn't stick. Trust me, this will help later when you put the two together. After you weigh out the dough and filling, now it's time to put them together. What you want to do is grab one of the dough balls and flatten them down using the palm of your hands into a thin disc. You want the disc to be just slightly bigger than the filling. We don't want it to be too big because then the skin will be super thin and we don't want that. After you flatten the dough, place the filling on top. Then using one hand, make the OK sign and place the dough and filling into the hole of the OK sign and slowly presses out all of the air between the dough and filling and push it all the way to the top before closing the dough. Since this is a pretty stretchy and forgiving dough, if you end up with a bit of extra dough, just use your hands and roll them around. It's pretty forgiving. Afterward, you want to place that ball into your mooncake mold and press it down enough to get the right shape. And there you have it. I'm pretty excited for these. I don't know if you can tell, but the mold that I got was originally, for sort of a lettuce shape. But it just kind of looked like a pumpkin, which fits for this mooncake since it's a pumpkin spice latte pumpkin spice latte snowskin mooncake. The shape just makes it look like a pumpkin, right? So, but I'm pretty excited to try this because this is the right time of the year to have pumpkin spice latte and I absolutely love it. So I'm just gonna dig right in. Take this piece. Oh yes. It's very sticky. That's definitely pumpkin spice latte as a filling. Like you get the strong coffee flavor and then you get hit with that pumpkin and then the spice just creeps up to you. I love that it's not too sweet because I don't like my dessert too sweet, so this is perfect. If you're a big fan of pumpkin spice latte and you want to make a mooncake version, this is it for you. Thank you for grubbing with me, Guber. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and I hope to see you here next time on Anything But Authentic.